Hey everybody, it is Gordon Majak here, back with another episode of Timeless Pop, Rock, and Soul. And today we are going back to what's the year here? The late 1990s, September of 1997, for another one of my all-time favorite female vocalists. Now, a quick backstory here before we get to this song, and then I'm going to actually do things sort of backwards today. I'm actually going to play the song and then tell you the end result of the story of my reaction to the song after we hear the music. But I just want to give you a little bit of the backstory up front here very quickly. So back there in September, I shared with you guys one of my all-time top 10, easy top 10, might even be top 5 songs. One of my personal all-timers, and that was this incredible soul, this incredible artist, this incredible singer right here, the late, great, the beloved Eva Cassidy, and her incredible version of Over the Rainbow. That is an all-timer for me. And about 4 months ago there, I did a reaction for that song. And it turns out that you guys love Eva Cassidy and you loved Over the Rainbow just as much as I did, because it turns out that all these months later here, 4 months later, Eva Cassidy Over the Rainbow video here on the big channel is in the top 5 of all the videos on the channel. So I saw that the other day and I started thinking about Eva Cassidy and, of course, reflecting on how much that song and her performance of that song, Over the Rainbow, means to me and how I love that song so much. And then I started thinking about Eva Cassidy and it occurred to me there's sort of a funny twist to this story in terms of my personal connection with Eva Cassidy. And that is sort of in the way that I discovered her in the very first place. And now, as you guys all know, but as I had absolutely no clue of, Eva Cassidy so tragically passed away back there in November of 1996. And it is said, believe it or not, this just seems unbelievable now in hindsight, but it is said that at the time of her death in late 1996, Eva Cassidy, as a singer, as a musician, as an artist, was virtually unknown outside of her local city there of Washington, D.C. Believe it or not, is that even possible? Nobody knew about Eva Cassidy when she passed away, other than people who may have seen her in local clubs there and some local gigs around D.C. over the years, right? So Eva Cassidy passes away so tragically that angel was only 33 years old when she passed there from melanoma in 1996. Well, in 1997, and just the personal side of this, I had no clue when Eva Cassidy actually passed away in real time. It was not even on my radar. I didn't know who she was. I didn't know that she had passed. Like the rest of the world, she was virtually unknown to me as well, okay? About a year or so later there, in September of 1997, her record company went ahead and released the album that was the last project that she had been working on before her death, right? And that was an album called Eva By Heart. That's in September of 1997. Now, that is this album right here. We'll just get our dates all lined up here. So this is about a year or so, not quite a year after she passed. This is the last album she was working on before she died, Eva By Heart. And that contained a song called Wade in the Water. All right. Now, about 8 or 9 months after that, in the following year, the spring of 1998, the record company released another album, but this was a compilation album. This album, Eva Cassidy's Songbird, which also has that version I talked about earlier of Over the Rainbow, they released this compilation album, and Wade in the Water is also on this record. Okay, this is 1998. Again, in real time back there in 1998, I have no awareness that any of this is happening. I have no idea who Eva Cassidy is. I am completely oblivious to all of this. Well, here's where the story gets a little goofy and sort of, I guess it could be construed as a little bit humorous. We fast forward to 2004, and I can tell you this would have been the fall of 2004. So this is a full 8 years, let's call it 8 years after she actually passed away in 96, and 6 years after this record had come out, right? And by then, Eva Cassidy was certainly, she was no longer virtually unknown as she had been when she passed away in 96. A few years later, of course, you all know, as the famous story goes, her music got picked up and played by a couple of DJs and radio hosts over on the BBC in the UK. And it just sort of spread like wildfire. And the next thing you know, within a couple years, everybody knew who Eva Cassidy was. And I don't know how, in hindsight, I have no idea how I was apparently the last human being on earth to find out about Eva Cassidy. But as I said, there I was in 2004, and I know exactly where I was. I was standing in my bathroom on a Sunday morning shaving. And there I am shaving, and I've got my little radio, my little goofy transistor radio, tuned to the local public jazz station that was known to play some pretty cool music on Sunday mornings. So they're playing kind of an eclectic mix of some jazz and some vocals and some sort of acoustic stuff and different kinds of stuff. And it's not about, do I know any of the artists or know the songs? It's just that good vibe. I wanted to hear some cool, different sort of music. And there I am in the bathroom, I'm shaving and I'm doing my business, right? And I have zero awareness of Eva Cassidy, never heard her. Now, I will tell you the rest of the story of what happened after I heard this song, after we hear the song. There I am, listening to the jazz in the background, and this comes on the radio. See you on the other side. Unbelievable. Takes me right back to my bathroom and shaving in front of my mirror there in 2004. And like I said, folks, I was the biggest dummy in the world, apparently, because this is a full, 2004. This is a full 8 years after Eva Cassidy so tragically passed so young at the age of 33. And this is, 7 years after this song had come out. And as I said, of course, posthumously, she just became a sensation around the world, right? Just a huge international star as a female vocalist, and fans, myself, of course, included, just cannot get enough of the great Eva Cassidy. What a great interpreter, what an incredible vocalist. All that heart and soul comes through every single thing that she touches. But as I said, being just completely somehow oblivious to her and her burgeoning international success there after she had passed, there I am in 2004 shaving, and this song comes on the radio, and I had to just stop for a second and listen to this. Never heard of her, never heard the song, nothing. It just randomly pops up on the radio. And I think when it just sort of stopped me in my tracks, I was like, damn, this is just one of the coolest things I have ever heard, and I have no idea who it is or what it is. And I think probably when the song was over, the DJ there for the jazz station there in Seattle said something like, well, that's Eva Cassidy and Wade in the Water. And I'm like, Eva Cassidy? Never heard of her. Wade in the Water? What's that? So as it turns out, now, again, I had no clue of this at the time there in 2004. Wade in the Water, of course, is an African-American spiritual song. It is part of a genre of music from back there in the 1800s, created and sung by slaves. And it's associated with a genre of songs that were also related to the Underground Railroad, okay? So Wade in the Water, even though I knew none of that and I did not have any memory of having heard the song before, is a song that actually goes back literally into the late 1800s, a very, very old song, a traditional African-American song. Knew none of that, okay? And as I said, the DJ says, well, Wade in the Water, and that's Eva Cassidy. I was like, Eva Cassidy. Couldn't place the name for $1 million. But it just sort of, that name just sort of floated into the back of my head and stayed there. Well, here's the rest of the story. So I don't know, it maybe even just a few weeks later, I swear to God, there I am again. Sunday morning, I'm shaving in the same mirror, in the same bathroom. I got the same radio playing the same radio station. And once again, this time it's just an absolutely drop dead, stop you in your tracks version of Sting's Fields of Gold, right? The great Sting. Just a standard. That's just such a classic song, right? Fields of Gold, which was a huge hit for Sting himself there in the early 90s, right? There I am shaving again. And here we go. And it's this cover version by this incredible, this just unbelievable, unbelievably sensitive and gifted and nuanced and powerful female vocalist singing Sting's song Fields of Gold. And I'm just sitting there going, what in the, are you kidding me? And here we go. They get to the end of the song and the DJ says, that was Eva Cassidy doing her cover version of Sting's Fields of Gold. And my brain went, Eva Cassidy, wait a second. That's the one that I just heard not too long ago doing that song, Wade in the Water. And I went, okay, now I'm awake. I have got to figure out who this artist is and what is the story with this incredible vocalist. And of course, I immediately discovered not only everything I needed to know about Eva Cassidy, but what a big dummy I had been all along, because I had no idea who she was and what her background was. I had no idea that she had passed. And here I am discovering her so far after the fact. It's just terrible. I don't know. I can't even explain being so oblivious for so long that I was not up on Eva Cassidy from the very beginning, like I should have as a music connoisseur and a musical audiophile, right? Because just an unbelievable, not only one of my all-time favorite female vocalists, but she's what I would call, she reminds me of like Karen Carpenter, and maybe not vocally, but just with certain presence of her voice and what her voice can do to you emotionally. She reminds me of like Karen Carpenter and a few others, very, very few other female vocalists that just are transcendent singers, that it's almost like whatever they're singing takes on a whole nother level of meaning just by virtue of the fact that they're the person and they're the voice that is singing it. It just becomes transcendent. It transcends the song, and of course, the better the song is, the better it is. But in a case of someone like Eva Cassidy or a Karen Carpenter, or maybe a handful of some of the other all-time greats, just a purity and a nuance in her voice that is just absolute magic. And so it was hearing, as I said, her sing Sting's Fields of Gold, that I said, okay, I got to know who this is. And I found out that both of those songs, Wade in the Water and Fields of Gold, were on this compilation album that had come out back in 1998. I'm 6 years late to the party. By the time I find out about this album, it's a compilation of her earlier albums. And she only had a couple albums, so there wasn't much to compile, but they have managed to find and release a number of her previously unreleased recordings. So that's great. But I found out about this compilation and scooped this up, and of course that's where I found that version of Over the Rainbow that, as I already told you, is one of my all-time top 10 personal. Man, and it might even be top 5, and it might even be even higher than the top 5. Just so much personal meaning and depth, and oh God, I start thinking about Over the Rainbow, and I just like, ooh, let's talk about that for a while. But anyway, so there is the story. That's how I found Eva Cassidy, as it were, so belatedly, sitting there like a dummy, shaving in my bathroom and hearing her on the jazz station, first with this song, Wade in the Water. What an incredible backstory to come to find out how much depth and meaning and history that the song had. And of course, and then hearing her in this particular performance just bring it so beautifully to life. That was an incredible discovery of itself. And then her following that up with Sting and Fields of Gold. And then by the time I got the album and heard Over the Rainbow, forget it. I was all over Eva Cassidy. And I don't think I have everything she's ever done, but I think I have a pretty good chunk of it. And I can listen to her and get moved by her in some ways that very, very, very few performers can do to me at this point in my life. But boy, Eva Cassidy, it is always right there. So much depth and meaning and beauty in her soul and in that voice. And you hear these old recordings. And of course, we'll be coming back to Fields of Gold and among so many other of her covers, because I debated between about 4 or 5 songs which one to do. But I really wanted to go right to the very beginning of the story of when I was first introduced to her. There it is, Eva Cassidy, Wade in the Water. I mean, I just stopped what I was doing. I was like, are you kidding me? What is this? How have I never heard of this? And boy, there are some riches there in that catalog. But you guys already know that. See you in the next one. Whoa, hey, there goes my beeper. And I'm back. Coming back with 2 more of my favorite female vocalists in these next couple videos. See you then. How about Eva Cassidy on what is today, a Wednesday afternoon? It's a sunny afternoon Can't go wrong. See you in the next one. What a song.